Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, there we go. Welcome everyone. Okay, I am so excited to do this. I'm so excited that you're here to join me with this breakfast reset. As First of all, just put in the chat a little bit about like why you
You
joined, or
joined.
maybe if
If
any of you want to like, I know Charity and Natalie are on here, like maybe you want to just give a little quick of like what interested you, like why you were like, okay, yeah, like I could see maybe that would be something that I'd be interested in. Like what was your I know Natalie, you and I have worked together, Charity, you and I currently right now, but like what was one of the things that got you thinking of like, okay, yeah, if you wanted to say something. Nat, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, you can hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. Just, I mean, the reset, the usual, back to routine. It's
Right.
harder for me when I'm not in routine. So like in the summertime, I like my sleep and all that kind of stuff. So I don't always eat breakfast when I'm on vacation or when I just kind of get up when I get up, and often I'll just have like a tea, and that's basically about it. And then go for lunch, like go have lunch.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back into routine, getting back
Yeah.
into habit after kind of like the chaos of all the summer. And that's 100% what this is about too. I know that a lot of us have joined, some of the other ladies I talk to is because they really want to feel differently. It's not just necessarily about, and I have my notes right here too, by the way. So if you're wondering what I'm looking down on, it's not just about looking at another breakfast recipe. It's not about Googling all of that. I mean, you can go to like ChatGTP. We all have those high protein recipes, breakfast recipes that die in our inbox that we never look at again, or like how many screenshots do we have on that? Like you could literally find millions in about 5 minutes. I know that a lot of us are here, and why I started with this is because I really wanted to feel differently. Maybe you're tired of waking up tired, frustrated that you're doing things that don't seem to work anymore, or like your old habits. Maybe you're tired of thinking of food all day, like snacking and thinking about like that constant hunger that goes through your mind. And it really it starts to like interrupt your day and sometimes can even become like a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest, right? When you're busy. And we're all very busy women here. Maybe you don't understand why, you feel like I eat something, I have my breakfast at 10:30, you're hungry, and then you crash at noon, and then you're kind of like a raccoon in the evening, and you've gained this weight. You don't understand, and maybe it's just like your body doesn't feel like it used to respond to the same things that it used to. And somewhere along the line, like this is what happened with me, is that you start wondering, like, what's wrong with me? Why aren't things just not working like they used to? Like, is my body broken? I mean, that's a very common thing that I've heard from a lot of women. And so your body is not broken. It has changed, and I'm going to discuss a little bit about that. But I want you to hear that like this next 7 days, this reset is about us collecting proof. It's about you seeing positive evidence that your body does respond when you give it a little bit different input. So, a little bit about my story. So, I was actually doing the same thing. I've lost weight before. In like 2023, I did like a healthy role models thing, where I did like a workout program. It was like a 12 thing. I worked out. I think I lost like 15 pounds. And then but it's interesting, I lost 15 pounds like the scale wise, but my dress size never really changed. I never really actually understood what actually I was doing to lose that weight, and I never really felt a whole lot different. And then unfortunately, as soon as that ended and I didn't really understand the process, or of like I didn't really learn what was happening, I gained it all back. And then I did other things. I followed workout plans, I've used apps, I've tracked my food, and like sometimes those things worked, but more often than not, I didn't understand why. And then when I turned 40, like I would be disciplined. Like I'd get a result for that time, but when it ended, I couldn't actually do that in my actual real busy life. So I'd end up right back where I was, which is kind of what happened to me like last March. And then every time when that happened, I felt a little bit more of like, okay, like why can't I get my shit together? Like what am I doing? Like I'm a highly ambitious, educated woman, and I can't, like this is something that I just could not do. And it felt a little like disheartening of all the things that I've accomplished, and then I could just not get this. And it wasn't necessarily like a number on a scale because I was never one that was like, I need to be a certain number, but it was a lot about how I felt internally, like dullness, not feeling like myself, not like I couldn't fit into any of the clothes in my closet. And then again, that feeling of like, why can I not just do this? And then when I hit my 40s, because I'm 42 and a half right now, I'll be 43 at the end of the year. The things that kind of like did seem to somewhat work really didn't work anymore at all. So then naturally I assumed the problem was really just me. Like it's something that I'm doing, right? It's got to be just me. Meanwhile, there are millions of other women who are going through exactly the same thing, the same thought process that all that of like what is happening to them. So here's like a really perfect example. I kind of call it my peanut butter toast story because it was really the peanut butter and toast story where I actually just said, fuck it. Hopefully everyone's okay with F word and made a change in my kitchen. So every morning I would really have two or three pieces of toast, like usually two. I bake my homemade bread, and I was like, okay, yeah, like there's protein in peanut butter. I genuinely thought I'm getting enough protein. You know, even as a healthcare professional, I was like, okay, I looked at the thing. Yep, that looks around good. And then at 10:30, a.m. would roll around, I'd get hungry again. So usually I would have like something sugary, something carby, maybe a Starbucks drink. Maybe I'd have like a protein shake because I was getting my protein intake in. And then, and then I wouldn't feel all that great. Like my energy wasn't good. And then like 3 o'clock, I kind of have a little bit of crash. And then I do that like trash panda before dinner, kind of like after dinner rating the things. And I would think to myself, like, what is going on with me? Like, why am I constantly hungry? Like, why can't I just stop this? Why can't I have more discipline with, just don't put it in your mouth, right? Like, push myself away from the table. Like, just, get up and go, right? Like, put the fork down, Kim, right? And I really thought I had this problem, but it really wasn't. It was kind of like what I was doing specifically which I learned in the morning of not front loading my day that was causing a lot of this kind of like distress or issues later in the day. And that was actually a huge realization for me, like when I started my transformation. And it wasn't because I was like, when my transformation happened, because I wasn't really doing things much different. I was just kind of like, I was just making it different in a different way. I wasn't doing things a whole bunch different, but the way I looked at it became different. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So when my transformation here, so when I started this journey that led me to losing 31 pounds in 120 days, and I have to say, I'm pretty proud of myself. It has been a full year. Was August 2nd that I have kept it off. And yeah, I've had fluctuations up and down. I lost the 31 pounds, I think like around kind of like the winter, I had a little like weight gain up and then, but wasn't stressing about that. I wasn't thinking about, oh my God. I was just like, hey, you know what? If I'm going to go and enjoy vacation or a Christmas or kids' birthday parties or anything like that, I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'm creating a lifestyle for myself and my clients. I wasn't worried about like a number on the scale. And it was a lot of internally of like how I felt. So I've kept it off for a full year, which I'm pretty excited about. And it's because I have this easy super because I have a system that I'm following, which is what I teach my one-to-one clients. And a lot of it, what you're doing right now is the breakfast part of it, which is exciting. So one thing about my transformation that I've kind of been a little bit ashamed to talk about is that I didn't really fully understand what I was doing when I started in last March of 2025. I knew that how I was feeling. So I've told this story like I was standing in the kitchen, eating my peanut butter and toast. I had been mulling. I'd seen some friends who had gone through a very similar process where they had, oh, did I lose everyone? Or I just can't see them? Admit. Um, I'd gone through like a really similar process, gone through a similar process. And I have to say, like, I was kind of scared to start, not because of like the work, but scared to start because of what was going to happen if I failed. Was this going to be another starting over? Was this going to be something more that I just like threw off to the side and I couldn't fit into my busy ass life, which was really hard for me. And to be like completely embarrassing, I didn't really understand exactly what I was doing. I knew that, I knew about my protein intake. I didn't really know anything about macros. We're not going into that right now, but I just want you to know is that I wasn't desperate to learn information like you are. You're not desperate to learn information. You want to know how you can feel better. You want a process that's easy for you to follow. You want to see how your body responds. You want to see your energy change. You want to see your hunger change. And all I knew is that when I started this, I started to feel differently. I started to see my body respond. And like there was a couple times within the first like 2 weeks where I was like, holy crap. I was like, what is going on here? Like I didn't get it. Like I was just like, I was just keeping up with my regular walking. I was hitting my breakfast in the morning. It was the first thing that I started and changed because I was the peanut butter and toast gal, or sometimes I would just have like a coffee. Then I would have the sugary um, Starbucks thing or something. Like I wasn't really focused on that because I didn't really think that it mattered. And all I knew is that like I was like, wow, okay, from this breakfast, the first couple weeks, like I started to lose a little bit of like inflammation. My pants started to feel like a tiny little bit less. And I started to see just like a little bit of that shift in my energy. And I actually went and I like was talking with my coach because I had a coach who helped me through this. I did not do it on my own because I needed somebody to help me mirror that back to me of like what was happening and also keep me like accountability and for support. I said, like, what is happening? And she's like, this is what happens when you change your input and when you change your input and how your body responds. Because what we are doing in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, which I'm going to chat about, our 20s and 30s, is not necessarily what's going to work for us in our 40s. And that is not a bad thing. Our body has just changed, so we need to give it a different input. So that's what I really want you to experience this week. You do not need to understand every single piece of science about cortisol, hormonal, menopause, metabolism, all that kind of stuff. You don't need to become a nutrition expert. You don't need to know how a hormonal cascade works and all this stuff. I just want you to understand like so deeply that this is very possible for you too. So before we get to our starting point, did you guys all go to your breakfast reset guide where there's that page about, because I want to have a baseline. This is really important. Because we're not doing weighing here, we're not doing pictures, we're kind of doing it on like how we are feeling by actually changing that input, and that's just by that questionnaire. So go there and honestly rate yourself. What is your energy like? What do you feel your cravings are like? And if you're like, think about energy, think about are there things that you want to do that you're avoiding doing? Oh, Charity sent me a message here because you just don't feel like you can. Are there things in your closet? Are there things in your closet that maybe you're avoiding like looking at because you're like, I don't want to put that on? Well, weight loss is not our goal here, but still like just be really honest with yourself. Like for me, it was I didn't really want to get dressed up anymore. I didn't want to put on clothes in my closet. I didn't want to look at them in my closet or my jeans because I knew damn well they didn't do up. I didn't want to be faced with the fact that I had to go buy bigger pants. Like that was really hard for me. And I had some really expensive jeans in there that I wanted to wear. Like, and I had to take a look at myself and be like, the only person that's going to really change that is myself. The only person that's going to change that is myself, but I needed mirrors and support in order to do that. So just be honest with yourself. You don't have to share that with anyone. What are your cravings like? Are they salty, sweet? What times of days are they hitting? Like point in your day are they hitting? How hungry do you feel throughout the day? Like, is food kind of always in your mind? Or are you always running that constant repeat cycle of I need to be good today? I need to be good today. Today's going to be a day where I'm going to nail everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to, or are you one of those people who just decided you're going to screw bread for the rest of your life and in 3 days you're back on it? Because I know some people, because I know some people do that. And trust me, carbs are not your enemy. We're all about carbs in my one-to-one program. Okay. Like carbohydrates are not what are doing it. Bread is okay. Okay. And there's no good score or bad score. I just want you to be like realistic about like what's actually really happening in your life and just to know that there's no bad breakfast versus good breakfast. I'm going to pull some up of ones that you guys submitted in there, but I just want you again reiterate what's going to happen. And after the 7 days, we're going to go back and we are going to look at this scale again. So you can just like we're going to look at the contrast to see what actually happens when we start giving your body something a little bit different. So, okay. So does that sound good? Everyone can kind of go and do that. I'm doing it too because I'm doing this with you too. Like I have some days where I'm off. I'm definitely not perfect. Okay. Like the other day, my husband made, I had like sausage and eggs, and there's nothing wrong with sausage and eggs, by the way. You just sometimes have to like beef it up a little bit. But I definitely not perfect. And the other day I did have peanut butter and toast, okay? Because I was running out the door. And that's okay. That's okay. And maybe that's contradictory to hear from someone who works with women 40 plus who want to lose weight. But I'm also a busy mom of three who is realistic and I understand what's happening in your life. So it's happening probably in my life too. So when those things happen, we don't spiral. We just keep going with the system. Okay. And that's what I help support my clients through when I also do like my one-to-one. Okay, so why does your body feel different after 40? So let's talk about why so many women, including myself, like reach this age and we said like nothing works anymore. And first, I just want to like make all of us feel really seen in the fact that like we talk so much about women's health up until this point. Like we talk about puberty. We talk about pregnancy. We talk about postpartum pregnancy. And then there's like this huge drop off of like information. I feel like when women hit this perimenopause state, and I'm here to like help you, like it's like to me, it's just it's such a travesty to like women's health. And as a pharmacist, that's something that is why I'm here is to help gain, like to help you with that perspective and to help you with that feeling of validation and being seen is that I get it. I get that when you kind of hit this age, you know, and this like stage in your life that it's so much different things. It's misinformation. It's like, do we actually even talk about it? Some women are nervous to talk about it, let alone body image, you know, about, hey, like I've gained all this weight, particularly around my midsection, and I don't even know what the fuck, like, I don't even know how it happened. You know what I mean? Like, that's hard to talk about. It really is. But I'm here to tell you, you can talk about it with me because I get it. I get and I see it as a healthcare professional. I see it as a coach, as a woman myself who's going through this, that there is a huge gap that needs to be addressed. And that's why I'm doing this work. I'm going to try not to get teary about it, but that's why I'm doing this work is because I want to help as many women as possible feel seen and validated that it's not something that you're doing. There's not that that's something wrong with you. We just have to change a little bit of the input for your health, for your longevity, for your weight, for your confidence, so you can fit into those date night jeans with your husband or spouse or partner, so you can feel really fucking good going into this next stage of your life. Okay, that was kind of an off tangent. But really, there is truth to this, right? There's truth to that underlying feeling because your body has changed. And like I said, like it has changed. We move through perimenopause and menopause, our hormones, estrogen, progesterone change, our sleep changes, stress feels different. We're often not more resilient. Body composition changes, like a lot of women, including myself, I didn't mention this part, but leading up to a part, this is embarrassing, but leading up to this, because I started in March of 2025, and in January, from January to February, I got all this, like it was like a balloon of weight gain to all right here. And I can put it's all right here, right? I went and I took a pregnancy test, even though I have an IUD. I was like, is something going on? Okay, this is embarrassing to say, but it was like it just came out of there, you know, and that's what a lot of us experience, but we maybe just don't chat about it enough. Okay, I got to keep going on here, right? But all of those things, like we become more vulnerable, like to losing muscle. So we have to really focus on that protein part, which is why we're focusing on the high protein breakfast. And all of those things influence our hunger, energy, recovery, rest, and how easy or difficult it feels to actually maintain our previous routines. But that doesn't mean we're broken. It just means that your strategy needs to change. What happens kind of with our blood sugar? And I'm going to keep this super simple because, like I said, you do not need to understand a lot of the sciencey things. And this actually does go into, I'm going to answer Kara's question here from the chat that said, what happens about timing? And is that important? And the question is 100% it absolutely is. But I do work with I do work with like real life women. Ideally, when you wake up, you should have anywhere from 35 to 40 grams of protein within an hour of waking. Now, that has a couple of things. One thing is you're breaking your fast with a high protein breakfast, which is giving you a low blood sugar stabilization. It also is decreasing your cortisol levels, which affects insulin levels. Now, all of this, what this is basically what is doing is it is keeping your insulin level from spiking up. It's using the protein as energy instead of putting it into fat storage. And so what happens is that your body starts to respond to fat burning by having high protein, which doesn't spike your insulin, doesn't increase your cortisol level because insulin and cortisol they like to be together. Like when your cortisol level goes up, your insulin level often becomes less responsive, which means that it means like you have sugar that kind of like goes around in your bloodstream and your cortisol's high, your insulin is high, and it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this stuff. Like I like kind of like talking frank here, but the molecules are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Like we got enough energy going on here. It's like, let's put it into her stomach. Like let's just put it into her thighs, right? When you have all those like high spiking things. So that's like certain types of high carbohydrates, high glycemic foods, things that are really heavy on carbohydrates. Again, not a bad thing, but just certain types of things that can be. That's what happens. But protein keeps it stable. It's like, oh, okay, I don't have much here. I'm just going to use that for energy. I'm going to start burning. I'm like, I actually don't have enough. It goes to your thighs, it goes to subcutaneous fat, it goes to visceral fat that's around your organs, and it starts burning it off. Okay. So when you wake up, ideally 35 to 40 grams of protein. And we're keeping it simple for this one, for the breakfast reset. When women work with me one to one, I do a little bit more personalized like macros that actually are personalized for their weight loss goals, like what's kind of going on in their life. But for this, we're just keeping it simple with that. So when you wake up and you barely eat, or you have a breakfast that doesn't give you much protein or staying power, you notice you're hungry again. You start looking for food. So you have something at that 10:30, like that's a pretty critical time for a lot of women. More coffee, something quick, lunch happens. Then you have your afternoon crash. The whole kind of cycle continues. And you, again, think, I have no willpower. But really, the different questions should be, how did I feel myself earlier in the day? And a lot of that starts to contribute to that weight gain, that fat storage, that like, why does nothing works anymore continuous cycle? It's because what's happening earlier in the day. And it's because of this blood sugar up and down that's happening. Breakfast, 10:30, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock, up and down. Where with a protein and keeping things really balanced, it's a nice even keel, which lets your body start burning off the fat and it keeps things super consistent for your body too. So it actually starts to respond better to those things like pizza nights, to cupcakes, all that kind of stuff that you have in a normal ass life that you have that of course you're going to do. It starts to actually burn those stuff off a little simpler, a little easier. Okay. So what are three beliefs here? I call this the belief shift that I really want to change. One is my body is the problem. Okay. My metabolism is broken or moves like a snail. I'm menopause. It's perimenopause. I'm too old. Nothing works for me anymore. I want you to replace that with my body has just changed. It isn't broken. Okay. Belief number two, I need to eat less. And this is one of the very first places women go to when they want to lose weight, even including myself. You're cutting breakfast, you're eating a tiny lunch or a tiny breakfast. You're trying to be good, you're saving calories. And by the way, in any of my programs, we do not count calories, they're out the door. And then you wonder why everything feels so much harder, especially specifically later in the day. So instead of asking, how can I eat less? I want you to start saying, how can I fuel myself better? How can I make things simpler? How can I make things more balanced? Number three, this is the best one for me. Breakfast is the goal. Okay. Here's the biggest one. Breakfast really isn't the goal with all of this. I created this reset because I want to show women, I want to show you that breakfast is just one of the easiest places for us to create proof. It's like our first domino. And in this experience, we're kind of collecting data because at the end of this reset, we're going to come back and we're going to see what's changed. And that's following that questionnaire. So now I want to do a little bit. Does all that kind of make sense to everyone that's kind of watching here? And if you watch the replay, you can, of course, just pop any questions or anything that you have in the Telegram. I'd be happy to answer them. So one thing here, I want to do a little bit of live coaching. So everybody, I'm kind of like dissect one of the breakfasts here. I'm going to do two of them quickly, and then we'll kind of be off here. So one was Kelly. Okay. So she's going to be my little guinea pig for now. Now, Kelly submitted her breakfast on Sunday, and that was for purpose of what she had. So she had Melba toast and then Melba toast, four toast, I think she said. She had four slices of cheese and a cup of coffee. Okay. So now, without knowing how like much that cheese was, I just kind of did a guesstimate. I'd say like they're about like a 1 ounce slice. I kind of looked at like four slices of cheese that I would be. Okay, so overall, this really is not a bad breakfast. Okay, so one thing that I work with my clients is that we work on we balance our plates with 40% protein, 30% carbs, and 30% fat. That kind of helps everything, your protein be stabilized and your carbs and fat burn off. That still keeps your blood sugar level. This for protein is really not that bad. It's actually 25 grams, which is coming from the cheese. However, this is a very higher fat meal. So almost 62% of this is coming from fat, and the carbohydrates are a little bit lower, so it's 17%. And there, if you look at hers, there's not much fiber and there's really not much volume. And this, no shame, no spiral, but this is something that I think a lot of us become accustomed to is like, this is just okay. Well, I'm getting protein from cheese, like the same way I thought I was getting protein from all that peanut butter, right? It's so high in fat. Plus on the toast, I was literally walking out the door just eaten like a blood. I might as well just eaten a donut. You know what I mean? Like for what it was really doing for me, but I was just habitual, used to doing that. So this is not necessarily very like a breakfast that's really high in calorie or carbs. The problem is where is it coming from? So it's low volume, it's higher in fat. It's probably going to burn off. And if you were looking at from like in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here with our breakfast, we're looking anywhere from 35 to 40 grams. Without knowing all the specifics, for Kelly, that's where I would want to be shooting for her. So how could we actually transform this and make it a little bit more like volume wise and a little bit more protein? First thing is, I would decrease the amount of cheese. Okay. So she could take that breakfast, maybe take two slices of the cheese away, knowing how much they weighed. She could add 100 grams of Greek yogurt. So now we have almost like 17 grams of protein with that. She could, or else she could have that with cottage cheese, either or. She could add berries for fiber, which is also going to help her food digest as well. Plus, it's going to give added volume. So now basically she's went from two pieces of peanut butter to two pieces of the Melba toast, then on the cheese. And that's going to bump her protein up to almost 40%. So she's going to have about 37 grams of protein from that, less fat because now she's having the Greek yogurt, which is low in fat at 0%, less carbohydrates. Plus, she's actually having more food to eat and a larger volume. This meeting will end in 10 minutes. Okay, that's fine. We're good. Oh, what did it do here? Did something. Ah, what did it do? 1 second. It said it wanted me to update something, but I don't want to update something. Oh, I don't want to like press something. Okay, I'm just going to roll with this here because I don't know what it did. Okay. But she would have more protein. Okay. So now let's look. If you look at your guidebook, I just want to do a contrast of like one of the top. This is honestly the top breakfast that I recommend. And a lot of my clients, pretty much most of my clients start with this because it's easy to make. It literally takes 2 minutes and it hits all of our protein, carbs, and fats plus the fiber. It's a Greek yogurt bowl. So that is 175 grams of 0% Greek yogurt. I do add in half a scoop of my essential meal Arbonne protein that gives you 25 grams. Or if you do half, that gives you about 12. But a lot of people, like, depending on where someone is in their phase with me and kind of like what kind of progress they're making, it can be a full scoop or a half. Usually we start with a full scoop because we're trying to fill that protein bucket first. Now you're getting a large bowl. Now, and you can see the one that I submitted in that telegram, that is a large serving of food. Okay. And now, honestly, if you're somebody who comes from eating such smaller portions, yeah, like me, it took me actually like a week to kind of get used to eating all of that because I just wasn't used to it. But then I started to notice the energy. I started to notice how I wasn't thinking about food. I started to notice how like I wasn't spending money on the Starbucks. Like I really started to feel good. you'll notice that, okay, it's bigger. We have the berries in there, which are giving us the flavor. They're also creating that fiber, which is like the dirty F word, but we need it, right? Like, just look at the comparison. Like, what breakfast do you think is going to serve you better overall for your lifestyle? For that, for like what you're trying to create in your life, which is not like we all want to feel better, and the weight loss is like, and the fat loss is the way to us on the other side of like getting over those uncomfortable feelings, wearing the jeans, going out on date night, feeling like our spouse wants to hug us, you know, from the midsection. Like, it's all on the other side of that. And it starts with making these few little changes. The other one I wanted to talk about really briefly was just Jamie's. Okay. So this was a typical one that I would have too. So Jamie did 2 poached eggs. So one egg is approximately 6 grams of protein. So 2 poached eggs on a thing of sourdough with an avocado. Okay. Now, that's also a really great, it looks really great. Like, I had avocado toast all the time. So you're getting only 12 grams of protein from that, though. Remember, we said we want to hit anywhere from 35 to 40 fats from the avocado, which are healthy, and then the carbohydrates. So I would make a really simple modification to this, whereas I would probably decrease the amount of avocado. She said half, I think, to about 35 to 40 grams, which is about a quarter of it. So you're getting healthy fats, which are going to help fill you. They're also going to help you keep full. And I would add some Greek yogurt with some berries, or I would actually do a smaller portion of a yogurt bowl. And so then you're actually getting the protein, you're getting fats from the eggs, carbohydrates also from keep the toast. That's fine, right, ladies? It's not about throwing everything out. It's about creating that balance. And so overall, like, how you see that you're already doing things that are good. We just need to kind of like tweak them a little bit. And so for that, that's what I do with that. Jamie, I'd add on a little bit of Greek yogurt, small little Greek yogurt bowl. If you have some protein powder, you could put a little half a scoop in there too, and then you're closer to like the 40 grams. And again, this is just for 35 to 40 grams of protein per breakfast meal is what we want to hit. But when you work with me individually, I do kind of give you like a personalized recommendation of like where you should be. So if this week, I just want to say, from doing these little things, following the guide, and in the Telegram, if there's something that you're like, I love to eat this every day, how can I make it better? Post it in there. And I'm going to put that in there too. And we can kind of tweak it and work through it together, because I know that we all have different tastes. We have different things that happen in our lives. Maybe you even like to eat leftovers for breakfast, by the way, which is really tasty. I want to be able to like help you with that. So I want you to notice in this week, do you have more consistent energy? Do you feel like you're not starving mid-morning anymore? Do your cravings feel different? Are you not thinking about food as much? Go back to that little chart and fill it out. Do your afternoon feels easier? Because did this breakfast magically fix your entire body? And the answer is no. It's because you started just giving it a little bit different input, and it started to notice a different response, and it's giving you a different response. And that's the proof that we're looking for. Breakfast is proof, okay? And here's the one part that I really want to start you thinking about, because this was the biggest thing for me. Because I thought to myself, if changing one meal, if I did this change, and this is how my day has started to feel, what would happen if I expanded this? What would happen if I looked at lunch, if I looked at dinner, if I looked at my overall protein goal, carbs and fats for the day, if I started doing my movement, my steps, if I started strength training, working on rest, and actually prioritizing my sleep? What kind of results would I get from that? That's how I lost the 31 pounds. I started looking at the bigger picture. I started breakfast with a domino, and then I created all the little things from that. Okay. Because I don't want to overwhelm you with the giant things to fix. We're just going to prove this little concept first. So it actually doesn't tell me how much time I have here, because I don't know how to get out of this thing. I'm kind of nervous to like press it. Oh, okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about, oh, maybe it's in the back here. I wanted to talk a little bit about some client stories here quickly. But I can't see like how much time I have because it won't let me my meetings. New tab. It kind of like went, what does this do? Mic mode. I don't know, like my whole sidebar changed, so I don't know how to change this. Okay. I just wanted to have a couple little client stories here. So the first one is um, Okay, I want to talk about Natalie because she was like one of my very first clients when I started this. So Natalie came to me and she started with a very small breakfast. She's was starting with something very small, usually around 10:30. And that was one of the very first places we started. And I'm happy to report after 90 days, Natalie had lost 17 pounds. And I was so freaking proud of her for doing that, for making those shifts, for making those changes. I have another client. She's actually 68 years old, and she comes from that generation where protein, like she's like, I don't even know what protein means. That's like throw that out the door. She doesn't have social media. She doesn't do apps. She has no idea. And she told me I'm astonished from starting with bumping up her breakfast of how much she's like, I was stunned were her exact words of the fact that eating more actually helped me lose weight. So far to date, she's been with me for just over 8 weeks. She has lost 10 pounds. Okay. And that, like, yeah, it's taken her 8 weeks. It took Natalie 90 days. Oh, what happened? Oh, here I go. Okay. Came back. It took Natalie 90 days. But you know what? That's the proof that comes with just these one small shifts and then expanding it into all other areas of life, all other areas of your day, and then into your life. So before I go here, because I'm going to run out of time, I just want you guys to know your body's not broken. It's just changed. We're working on this one little shift. On call two, we're going to have some constructive feedback. We're going to go through how everyone was feeling. We're going to see what everyone has done throughout the week. Remember, it's not about perfection. Just pay attention. Eat the breakfast, take your picture, change your hunger, your cravings, and collect the evidence. And think to yourself, like, what if I started changing and doing this differently to my body every day? That's what we're going next. Okay. So I'm gonna like stop. Someone hit chat. Oh, I have to run. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna stop record here and we're gonna go. Thank you guys so much.